Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now, this episode is going to be a bit more laid back, I guess. Because, well, I say there are other things, other factors to the episode delays or whatever, but one reason why is, we gotta be real, everybody. We all need some mental health days here and there. Mine don't work, but, we still need them every once in a while. That's why this episode's gonna be a bit more laid back. We're going with a boring Anglo election that really nobody gives a shit about. It could have been worse. You could have also gotten a political compass related quiz. Not political compass, but just a political quiz. That'll probably be what the next episode is. I don't know anymore. Anyways, let's get right in the news. First, big news story. Pluribus Unum proven right once again award goes to me. El Salvador announced that they are going to be eliminating presidential term limits. There's really nothing I could say. If you've been paying attention to anything that has been going on in El Salvador, this is the most blatantly obvious shit that was going to happen. He gerrymandered the election so that he could keep the same amount of seats in his legislative chamber, but it shot from a two-thirds majority to a almost 90% supermajority. He began his re-election bid before term limits were even abolished, before he was allowed to run for a second term, when he was, and the fascists, and this is obviously going to lead to Trump trying to do the same thing. He said I'm not going to run for another term. It's I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. That's a lie. That's not happening. I don't believe a single fucking word that they ever will say again. I don't believe a single fucking word that Trump, the GOP, or any Republican in the future will ever say. I don't believe them at all. You never should have believed them before. You never should have believed them before when they said they were only going after, we're only going after, some abortions, related to abortion. No. They want to make sure the fucking 12-year-olds that they rape get to have their kids. That's what they want. That's what the Republican Party wants. News story later to explain that even more in detail, but, that's what the GOP wants. The GOP is done. They do not believe in democracy. They don't believe in anything. They suck off Bukele every day. Bukele explicitly made his explicit government actions explicitly modeled after the Nazi Party. That is a fact. And they're just going to suck them off again. There's really not much else I can say. Let's move on to this next story. Apparently, this is a funny news story, but also kind of apparently this is a bit more interesting than I thought. Okay, so the Trump administration has offered a $50 million award for the arrest of Venezuelan leader Maduro. U.S. officials doubled a reward for the arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro from $25 million to $50 million. So, that's a big one. It's wait, so this is a thing that they've done before? And yes, apparently, they have been offering an award for Nicolas Maduro to be arrested for years. In 2020, they offered a $15 million award for his arrest. Keep in mind, these are also the same guys who say the ICC going after Netanyahu for literally murdering people is just. This is why I hate every single Republican. I hate every single fucking Republican on this planet. They will gladly let Benjamin Netanyahu murder so many children. Meanwhile, literally, the crimes they are saying is Nicolas Maduro uses the gang we completely made up, the Tren de Aruga, and a Mexican cartel. Newsflash, not in Venezuela. Completely different country. I'm not listening to any of these fuckers ever complain about any of the. And again, the Venezuela is a country. It's run by this evil narco terrorist like Maduro. Meanwhile, people who want to flee that country, get the fuck out. We're sending you back. I'm never believing. I genuinely cannot fathom. It has to be just stupidity, right? It has to be just stupidity. There is no other way any rational human being could even remotely be right of center at any point. Like, at this point, like, literally, I'm just like, there is no way, because you have to literally believe so many different conflicting ideas about the world. It's just impossible. You have to believe that somehow Nicolas Maduro's crimes are worse than Netanyahu's by making up a completely fake gang to do. The Tren de Aruga is apparently like just, it's apparently basically a fake gang. Like, it's basically like, no, I'm trying to think of a way to explain it. It's like, where it's like, there's this, like, it's like one group that was like completely centralized in one specific location, and then somehow it has been turned into this massive boogeyman that literally doesn't exist. Somehow that is way more pressing than the 19,000 children that Netanyahu has murdered with our help. And then you also have to somehow believe that people fleeing that nation and coming to us is somehow a bad thing, and that we have to send them back to this nation. It's like, again, you can't live in this world. This makes no sense. And I know this because I've literally talked with conservatives. It's like, your worldview literally makes no sense. I do not understand how you could even literally come from, like, belief 1 to belief 2. I do not understand where this even remotely is. I can't fathom where the brain cells are coming from. But anyways, let's move on to the next story. So apparently the United Auto Workers is trying to do a fucking incredibly stupid thing, and you'll see why they're trying to do this stupid thing in a second. Okay, so apparently there is a push to remove Shawn Fain as leader of the United Auto Workers. Like, they're going to begin a process called, like, Article 30 charges, against him. And it's apparently they have enough votes, like 6 votes, triggering an internal procedure to build a trial committee to hear the charges against Shawn Fain. Now, the really important thing that I really wanted to see is, okay, what are the charges? What are the things that they're concerned about? Okay, so here's the things. According to the documents provided by members who have voted to approve them, here are the allegations going against Shawn Fain. Okay. Fain abused his authority by stripping Mock of purchasing power, a move monitored deemed vindictive, unfair, and retaliatory. Fain unfairly retaliated against Vice President Rich Boyer after stripping him of his assignments leading the union's Stellantis department after Boyer refused to cooperate on a scheme hatched by Fain that created a conflict of interest. Boyer's treatment is currently under investigation by the Monitor. Fain refused to provide records requested by the Monitor, constituting an obstruction of transparency and cooperation. Fain bypassed internal procedures by appointing people close to him to positions without proper vetting or constitutionality required membership status. Cumulatively, these allegations constitute conduct unbecoming of an officer and a removable offense. So, like, and this is the thing that it's like, you hear that and it's just like, well, I mean, okay, but like, what does this mean? What does all this mean? Well, like, I mean, because all the people that he's, like, going against in this, like, it says, like, oh, he went against the VP of this guy. He went against this group. He went against this group. He went against this group. From what I've seen, all the people that he's going against are the people who were from the previous guy, like, from the previous union head of the United Auto Workers. Like, that seems to be the thing that it is. And, so from what it seems like Shawn Fain is possibly getting removed because he wanted to clean the it's basically what it's happening. It's like he wanted to clean the union, and then people are getting mad at him for wanting to clean the union. And this comes at a time period where the only other major union head that I can think of, the fucking, like, Sean O'Barry guy, is, like, Sean O'Brien. Like, he's a fucking, like, he's like a fucking, like, stress rights, essentially. Like, he literally went on a fucking, like, news show to be like, Bernie Sanders is a little mean to me ever since I said that Donald Trump was actually a pretty good president for unions. It's like, yeah, no shit, because you're a fucking loser. Meanwhile, Shawn Fain is like an actual like Shawn Fain is basically a communist. Like everybody's kind of pointing this out. Like he's basically a communist. Like yeah, he endorsed Kamala Harris, but like he's like literally explicitly planned while he was saying like, oh, Kamala Harris is gonna be the next president. He was explicitly planning for a massive general strike in 2028. So it's like, and I think that might be another reason why they want to get rid of him, because they're having one of the biggest auto unions strike during an election year. That's gonna be a big problem. That's gonna be a massive problem. It's gonna be a big thing. And it's one of the sole reasons why Shawn Fain needs to stay around. We need that general strike. I'd be open to push the general strike earlier. Like, make the economy bleed. Literally, fuck that. Like, literally, the economy is going to get fucked so bad thanks to Trump's like tariff plan. And like, literally every day he does something fucking stupid in regards to tariffs, in regards to his policies there. And it's like, dude, I'm just waiting for it to fucking like blow over. I'm waiting for everything to just go to shit immediately, and then everyone to just be like, what the fuck is going on? And it's like, gee, I wonder what fucking happened. And then for this to like just blow over. And this is where we're of course gonna get like Trump is like, things are starting to change. Like, we're starting to see like the jobs has not been going well, and Trump fired the person who was in charge of like telling people how jobs are, and then like trying to tell people, no, jobs are great. It's like, yeah, but like some people point like, yeah, it's gonna be sad because like, you know, he's trying to lie to people and he's trying to like push into like obviously fascistic tendencies, but it's like at one point it will hit the head, because yeah, you can lie about the price of goods to a point, but eventually people are gonna start realizing, I'm getting to a point where I literally can't buy as many groceries. But yeah, 100% support Shawn Fain, no ifs, ands, or buts. Next story. This story is apparently interesting, because I was actually originally going to do a big thing about, like, this, but turns out I don't need to do that at all, because it's well, I guess I'll get into it. It's the story about Delia Ramirez. You might have seen, like, Delia Ramirez was recently invited to a Pan-American conference, where a bunch of, like, people from, like, America, Canada, and a bunch of other Latin American countries came together to hold a meeting to basically discuss like common goals, you know, broadly left of center goals, you know, like a lot of like Latin American left-wing governments were there, at least like members of the groups there. Charlie Angus was there, and Delia Ramirez, and like I think Rashida Tlaib was there, and Chuy Garcia was there too. But like Delia Ramirez is the one who actually got the most attention in the situation. And it was because of a very controversial clip that happened. Now, to all the non-Spanish speakers, you might be wondering, well, what happened? Well, The Blaze posted that video on their, like, Twitter, and a bunch of other conservative accounts posted that video on Twitter, and made the claim that she was saying, I'm a proud Guatemalan before I'm an American. Now, at first, when I heard this story, you know, I didn't really give a shit. I didn't really care. I'll be real. I didn't fucking care for a multitude of reasons. You know, one being, under these fucking, like, right-wing fascist guys, they literally don't believe she is an American. So if the clip is saying what she's saying, then she's just following your rules. Because your rules, your argument, you guys believe that people who are children of undocumented immigrants are not citizens of America. Donald Trump is trying to remove birthright citizenship for children who are children of undocumented immigrants. That is literally what he's been doing. So she's literally following your rules by identifying as a Guatemalan before being an American. That's what she's saying. And also, she's at an event of a Pan-American conference. So of course she's gonna fucking say that. Like, no shit. You know, naturally, if you're a guy who's at like a fucking Christian conference, you're naturally going to probably identify yourself more as a Christian before you identify as anything else, even if you don't necessarily identify as a Christian primarily in your everyday life. And people were really, really, really getting fucking like insane about this. Like, you know, a bunch of like MAGA people were like, oh, she's showing where her true loyalties lie, so she must be expelled from Congress, deport her, begone. And then I'm sitting there just like, the head of our Foreign Affairs Committee in the United States House served under a foreign military. I don't, fuck off with your bullshit about that. Mast has to go first before any of these fucking other people do. But here's the thing. That clip really doesn't really sound well. It just doesn't, that clip really doesn't sound well. I couldn't really make out exactly what she was saying. I mean, and I'm not a native Spanish speaker, so I don't necessarily know exactly what she said. So then it's but then I actually saw something interesting. When I saw that clip being retweeted, it was one person. He was a left wing. I think it was Ryan Grimm. He said that's not what she said at all. You can type out what she said. So I'm like, wait, huh? Wait, is that not what she said? So then I checked the clip again, and I found someone explicitly transcribe the clip in the bottom. Someone explicitly transcribed the clip. So let me read. This is exactly what they transcribed. Actually, that is what they claimed. That is what she said. Here it is, and they showed where they typed out the actual words she said. So as slow as I can make it, so that people can hear it clearly, she said. I mean, as much as I could find out, as much as the important part, she said, "Porque yo soy guatemalteca con mucho orgullo, primero que soy mexicana." And I'm like, okay. So then I decided to take what the Blaze said she said and then translate that into Spanish on Google. And it's wait, so that can't be it. Because one big thing that is notably missing is the Spanish word antes, which means before. So how could she have said, I am Guatemalan before I'm an American, when the word before does not appear in that sentence? If she did say that, it would have been, soy un orgulloso guatemalteca antes de ser americana. That's what she would have said. But that's clearly not what she said. So what does the thing that she actually said translate to? It translates to, because I am Guatemalan with great pride, first of all, I'm an American. And I'm just starting to realize what the actual previous thing is, because she said Espanol previously. So I'm thinking what she's saying is that she might be saying that her Spanish isn't the best because she is an American. I think it's what she's saying. I'm pretty sure that's what she's saying. Spanish speakers, if you want to listen to the full clip, tell me explicitly what she said. I tried to get people who spoke Spanish to tell me what the clip says. I want to know. So literally what she's saying literally the exact opposite of what they're claiming, and they're hoping that people are stupid and racist enough that they don't hear it. And meanwhile, the conservatives are making such a big deal about this. Meanwhile, in Utah, the Republican Senate president literally changed the law to help a man get away with raping a child. Literally. Senate President Stuart Adams helped an 18-year-old who was related to him fight to make sure that him committing statutory rape against a child that's 13 years old was literally, they made a legislative law to change the law so that now that is not a legal issue. It's bro, the age of consent in Utah is 18. So literally, that shouldn't be allowed. Literally, that's the law. That was literally the law beforehand, that 18 is the age of majority. It's the age of consent. So it would be natural to assume that the thing that under that is wrong. Is that not was that not the law? And it's so he's and the thing is it's very obvious what happened. Because this 18-year-old that was a relative of his was getting into trouble because of this law was getting into trouble, and then this law happened. He says that it was oh, it was just a little coincidence. It wasn't a fucking coincidence, you liar, you absolute liar. Especially considering this law explicitly is affecting the case. The law is being stated oh, it's not retroactive, but it's being affected for this specific case because the case is still ongoing. So it's gonna affect this case because it's an ongoing case. And this is very telling for the future of the Republican Party, because hear me now, quote me later. I 100% genuinely believe that with all this shit, with Epstein, with them possibly pardoning P. Diddy and fucking like them being buddies with Kid Rock and Ted Nugent, and like Trump inviting an actual pedophile at the fucking, like, to do a child's event for the fucking White House. Donald Trump inviting Dom Lucre to the White House, even though he posted literal you-know-what on Twitter. Like, I mean, I very genuinely believe that in this term, Donald Trump or someone else is going to try and advocate for the lowering of the age of consent. That is, I am convinced that is going to happen. I genuinely think that that will be attempted. I genuinely do. I do. I'm going to tell you all something very depressing. There's a chance it will succeed. There's a chance it would fucking succeed. If it was lower tomorrow, you would see a lot of guys just openly start being like way more predatory. That is a fact. It's a sad truth, but it's a truth. And that's because a lot of guys are fucking creeps about like age-related stuff. Like, that's a very, very bad, like, I thought about making a video about, like, the whole discussion about the age of consent, because there's a lot of fucked up stuff about, like, how the world views sort of, like, sex in, like, that kind of stuff. It's just really weird. Like, there's this big fetishization of youth in a lot of things. Guys, one of the biggest, like, one of the most popular porn categories online is quote-unquote teen, and all of it is always like, oh, you know, we just turned 18, like, because people have this mentality like, oh, like they hold their watches, and the second that they turn 18, it's like, fair game, my friends. There is an online, this drama, like, just happened, where there was, like, this one YouTuber, I didn't even know who the fuck they were, Little Tay. They just turned 18, and, like, the day they turned 18, they dropped an OnlyFans. And, like, for weeks up to that point, a lot of people were literally telling her, drop the link, drop the link, drop the link. And one of her first things she did was she sent a message to them, apparently saying, like, when did you guys pre-order, alluding to them going after her before she turned 18. Those guys are waiting for the fucking go-ahead, and Trump is giving them exactly what they want. Trump, Tate, all these fucking, like, right-wing sex pests. It's, like, really insane, honestly. I didn't even touch the fact, like, you know, one of the top, like, you know, like, quote-unquote, like, hot outfits for people to wear is, like, a schoolgirl outfit. It's like, gee, I wonder what the implication is. That's not even getting into things like anime and hentai that make things 10 times worse. Especially when people can just openly online talk about a certain type that they're a fan of, and it's just insane, again. I thought I'm making a whole episode on that, but honestly, no, I'm not going to do that, because that is, like, the easiest topic to take out of context, and I am not remotely qualified, like, well, of course, I'm not more qualified to talk about a lot of the things I talk about, but I think this specific one is one that I really think I should have some sort of, like, degree to discuss. The closest positions that I could really give on the matter are probably legal adults should only be in relationships or fool around with other legal adults. And if you are ever in a position where you have to try and look up if your relationship is legally okay, then you should not be in that relationship, period. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's move on to the main topic of this video. One of the countries that began the so-called Nordic model. Even as I drifted away from social democracy, I can't say I necessarily hate the Nordic model per se. Yeah, I'm sure I can critique it, and I'm like, yeah, you could probably give some critiques of the Nordic model and, like, some things, and I probably wouldn't necessarily disagree with you on certain elements of the criticisms, but I am one of those people who likes to see some results, and the results of the Nordic model aren't really bad if you actually look at it. In Norway specifically, 50.4% union membership, 48.3% in public spending. They're the 5th least corrupt country in the world, the 22nd least impoverished country in the world, and the 7th most happy nation in the world. So how's the current administration of Jonas Gahr Støre, if I mispronounce any of the names of the individual of the party individuals of this country. My bad. I went into Google Translate and I clicked the original words. I clicked the original pronunciations and I typed them out the best I could in a way that could phonetically make sense to me. But if I still fail, I apologize to all the Nordic people in my audience. How many people from Norway watch this channel even? In this channel's entire lifetime, 124 people from Norway have watched me. So there aren't that many of you here, but if you're in the audience, you're like, oh, this is about me, my country. So how is the guy who's running your country doing? At least in my opinion. Fine, I guess. I mean, yeah, basically he's doing fine. The beginning of his term was mostly built on COVID recovery and the Ukraine war. So he had basically that going for him. He recognized Palestine during his term. He faced a bit of an energy crisis. I don't know if that got resolved. But, I mean, pretty above average administration, but again, not really that impressive. Okay, so let's get into the parties and candidates in this race. So there are at least 10 parties that are going to be running in this cycle. Why not get the main guys out of the way? The Labour Party. They are obviously a social democratic Nordic model party led by Jonas Gahr Støre. Again, nothing really too notable to mention. Now let's start off at the bottom, way bottom. Okay, so we got the Patient Focus Party, a political party in the county of Finnmark. It's a sole issue party that its sole issue is based on building a hospital in Alta because apparently there's no proper hospital in the area and residents with serious issues are sent out of the county to deal with those medical problems. And it's sort of evolved a little bit to be just a bit more of a generic, we are a party focused on, patients. As the name suggests, they're the patient-focused party. They only have one MP, who is also their leader, Erin Ujala. Nothing to really know about them, I just wanted to mention them, because, well, I'm here anyways. So the next party is the Christian People's Party, a Christian democratic and socially conservative party. Their leader is Dag Inge Ulstein, who is supposed to be retiring from the party this year, so I don't know why he's still the leader, but, I guess he's leading the party into this next thing. He won't be an MP, but he's, I guess, still their prime minister candidate for the time being. The next candidate, the next party, is the Green Party, which is an environmentalist, broadly, socially liberal, green party. It's a green party, yeah. Most green parties kind of have that same sort of, political belief system. They are led by Arlid Hermstad. The next party is the Liberal Party, a broadly socially liberal party. They are led by former Minister of Education, Guri Melby. You can tell these are boring Anglo countries when I don't really have much to say about the parties and the candidates, really. It's a Western liberal democracy. You kind of get the intention of the party without me really going into specifics. I say that ironically as the next party comes up, one where I get a bit more specific. The Red Party. It is an anti-capitalist political party. Its specific ideology in regards to anti-capitalism is a bit of a debated thing. You see, traditionally, the party is a Marxist communist party, but it's shifted its perspective a tad to be a bit more palatable to the broader Nordic electorate. And they're kind of more of they are a little bit sort of like a social, not a social democrat, but a democratic socialist party. Technically, they're technically that, but they're still, they haven't softened, too much. It's still broadly considered the far left party in the country, and a bit othered because of it. I think they technically, I think technically they've rejected the communist label, but they still basically but we basically still agree with every single thing that communism stands for. Let me give a little bit of an example of one thing that really got them othered. See, that it gives a little bit of an explanation about a lot of things. I guess I'll get into it. The issue of Ukraine. You see, the Ukraine is an issue that would be very interesting for a party like this. You see, parties that are traditionally in this political stance typically take a more hardline oppositional stance to NATO, and they're more opposed to the mainstream political consensus in regards to NATO and Ukraine and that kind of stuff. And yet they're actually not that outlandish in their NATO Ukraine stances. I mean, they've actively supported funding the war, but they did voice opposition to Sweden and Finland joining NATO. They've said some critical things about Nato. They've said some critical things about Ukraine and that kind of stuff, and that has led to other people in the the Nordic in the Norway political system to be hey, why are you even remotely critical? But they broadly said yes, we reject the war. We believe that the war is bad, and we believe that Ukraine should get funding. When again, and this is where you can see you can see a lot of things that one, you see them being othered for being a traditional left-wing group in this issue, but you can also see them they've moderated their stances a little bit so that other parties of similar ilks of this bunch would probably be more along the lines of Ukraine and NATO were Western encroachment, that kind of stuff. But again, they still take a broadly principled stance on the issue. The leader of their party is Marie Sneve Martinussen, who is only in the position because the previous leader of the party was caught stealing a pair of sunglasses. Boy, I feel bad for you guys. Your leaders get resign because they steal sunglasses. We had a guy who tried to overthrow the government, and he literally got to be the government now. Next, we have the Socialist Left Party, which is the more mainstream left-wing party. Democratic Socialists, Eco-Socialists. They're to the slight right of the Red Party and are more open into being in electoral pacts with the Labour Party. They were in a formal Red-Green alliance from 2005 to 2013, and now they're in a confidence and supply relationship with the Labour Party. And that's actually gotten them a little bit of flack because, the Labour Party, the Labour Party is social democratic, so naturally there's going to be some things where they're going to say some things that are that's not really the best left-wing thing to say. They supported the Libyan invasion, they supported oil drilling, and yet the socialist left still supported them, despite the fact that that is antithetical to their alleged political beliefs. Their leader is MP Kristi Bergstø. The next political party is the Progress Party. Don't let the name fool you, it is a far-right populist party. The standard BS things that these parties espouse. Muslims bad, immigrants bad, our nation first, minus Israel. Traditional values, except when the church is considered socialist. And sadly, they are not as fringe as the Red Party, as they have actually gotten to be in the cabinet. Their leader is MP Sylvi Listhaug, who was the former Minister of Immigration. Oh yeah, and that church is socialist thing, that wasn't fake, that's real. That's actually a thing that happened. Where the leader explicitly said the Church of Norway is quote-unquote thoroughly socialist because the Labour Party, because it's a state church, so when the Labour Party got to be in charge, they got to have a hand in the church. So then she argues that now that the church is infiltrated by socialists. So despite the fact that the whole point is Western values and Christian values, that kind of stuff, she's actually apparently an advocate for the separation of church and state because of the situation. The next party is the Centre Party, an agrarian centrist political party. They are currently in a confidence and supply relationship with the Labour Party. They are led by former Minister of Finance, Trygve Slagsvold Vedum. And the last party, and probably least at the moment, is the Conservative Party, a liberal conservative political party. They were in a coalition with the fascists from 2013 to 2021. They are led by former Prime Minister Erna Solberg, who tried to give herself a nickname based on Margaret Thatcher. There's not much information I can find about issues in the election or events, so let's go to the polling. Polls were originally, the first thing that's interesting about the polls is that, let's start with, the earliest polls. Earliest polls kind of, did what most, again, because, you need to understand, again, this is a liberal democracy in the West, so, of course, there's a bit of a pendulum shift. It naturally was just seemingly going to be a pendulum shift election where the Conservative Party was going to basically take complete control of Norway, probably due to like some slight misgivings with what the Labour Party did at the time. But then, right around late last year, a new party started like becoming the top poll getter, and that was, of course, the Progress Party. Like, they were getting upwards to like 7-point leads over the Conservative Party. However, if you look at the graph, you'll see that once that party started taking a big lead, like when that party started taking like a noticeable lead in the polls, people just started shifting back towards the Labour Party. Like, literally, it's like 25% Progress, 24% Progress, 24, 26, 27. Then it got a 24.7 tie between the two. Then it just started shifting so that the Labour Party is basically taking complete control of the polls now. However, there is only one interesting problem, and it's the fact that there's a little bit of, there's a little bit of a problem in regards to the, needing to get a majority, because in the country, you need to get an 85 seat, you need to get 85 seats to be considered a majority. However, let's take a look at the party breakdown of the most recent poll. You have Labour with 50, you have the Progress Party with 43, Conservatives with 28, the Red Party with 10, Socialists, Greens, Centre getting 7 each. You have Liberals and the Christian, the Christian Party with 3 each. So again, naturally there's a bit of, you see there's a little bit of a divide. So people are like, uh-oh, what now? And that's where we get into, the thing, because, you have to also take a look at this. Let's take a look at the current breakdowns of, how the coalitions would go. Because, the Liberals have traditionally aligned with the Conservatives. Them combined with the Progress Party gets in 74 seats. But then if we do the same with the current governing quote-unquote coalition, they only got 64 seats. But if you remember the party layout, you'll also know the left-wing coalition has a bit more power to gain because, they have a lot more of a alliance. They have a lot more of a way to align with, the Greens and the Red Party. So it's maybe the Red-Green alliance expands way further. And the conclusion and support is that if I were a Norway voter, because I took a poll, an online quiz, and it said the party that I aligned with the most was the Socialist Left Party. I can kind of see the benefits of all three mainstream left-wing parties in the country, Labour, the Red Party, and the Socialist Left Party. I see pros and cons for all of them, but I guess ideologically I'm a bit more aligned with the Socialist Left Party. Not only in the actual policy sense, but also because, strategy sense, I guess. But the Red Party isn't that bad either. I wouldn't, I would be very open to the Red Party joining in with the coalition. I genuinely do want the Red Party to be openly part of the coalition. Not just in the sense that, there would be a bigger chance to win, but also because, if they're in the coalition, they actually get to have a lot more say in policies. And I'm sure they have a lot to add in regards to actual policies. And yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. I think for now, Labour Party's probably gonna win at least the initial election. How the actual thing pans out, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see in that regard. But yeah, that's why I did this one, just to do a quick video, I guess. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell to notify when a future video comes out. And if you want more content from me, consider supporting me on Patreon.